my main thing is USC has to be ahead of Oregon. We can debate USC, Utah, but USC has to be ahead of Oregon because I watched plenty of SEC football the past few years. I watched Bo Nix. It's like, Bo Nix is a friend of mine. I knew Bo Nix. Senator, you're no Bo Nix. That kind of thing. Like, we know who he is. We know what he's about. Is he going to have this metamorphosis into, the quarterback who does it all? I mean, it's possible, but you certainly wouldn't want to expect that. And that is something that Oregon fans have to be wrestling with. I did a podcast with the editor of Ducks Wire a week ago, Zachary Neal, and he was refreshingly honest about this because Oregon had a situation last year where Anthony Brown wasn't cutting it. He wasn't making the grade, and he and other Duck fans and other Duck analysts were saying, play Ty Thompson, give him some snaps, give him a chance to succeed. And it didn't happen. So what does that tell you about how Mario Cristobal felt about Ty Thompson's evolution? So we now have a situation where Bo Nix seems to be comfortably ahead of Ty Thompson. Now, what does that tell you about Ty Thompson? If you can't beat out Anthony Brown one year, you can't beat out Bo Nix the next year. So maybe it is about Ty Thompson. I mean, now we don't know because we haven't seen him battle tested in a live game situation. But if this is the quarterback situation Oregon's dealing with, I just don't get an optimistic read of Oregon's season based on how that quarterback room has evolved in Eugene.
So just to catch everyone up, if you're not familiar with Oregon football, Ty Thompson is the highest rated quarterback recruit in the history of Oregon football, but this is going to be his second year on campus, redshirt sophomore, wherever he is, second or third year on campus. And in today's day and age, he should be just about ready to roll. Yep. Jay Butterfield's also a guy that has talent, and he's in the quarterback mix as well. But there's Bo Nix. So I'm going to be a Bo Nix apologist to a certain extent to say, I'll come to his defense, that he has had to work through 2 head coaches and 3 different offensive coordinators in 3 years. I do think that he's a better decision maker than he was originally. Thrown into the fire, and Oregon fans know this. The first you saw of Bo Nix was against you on a nationally televised game week 1, his freshman season, and he played awful. Couldn't hit the broadside of the barn until the final 2 minutes of the game. Then all of a sudden he pulls a rabbit out of his hat and throws for a touchdown with like 5 seconds left in the game and wins the game. So that was his introduction to college football. It's been up and down for him. He's not a high percentage guy. He's around 58, 60%, something in that range. But yeah, he can look remarkable at times. He loves to run around and he makes some poor decisions, but those seem to have been eliminated. To his credit, Auburn was a much better football team their first 8 to 9 games of the season. He got hurt in week 9. They were 6-2. And he got hurt against Mississippi State. They fell off the tracks. They were up by 4 touchdowns, lost that game, and never won another game. But to your point about Caleb Williams and that comparison, you're looking at a top 5 quarterback in the country and then a top 30 quarterback in the country.
I mean, it's Sloppy Joe versus, Chateaubriand. I mean, that's the comparison we have here.
Again, I'm a little closer to center on this one, but yeah, that is right. That is right. I think Oregon and Oregon State fans, and of course Tim with USC and others are weighing in on Bo Nix. Connor believes, as an Oregon State fan, that the Bo Nix that we see in the Pac-12 is going to be a much different player, maybe not running away from as many future NFL players.
That is a fair point, because that is my line of analysis in terms of why I think USC is going to be so good in year 1 under Lincoln Riley, is that the Pac-12 is waiting to be taken, that it was so ordinary, so mediocre last season that if you get better players coming into a program, you can take this conference by the throat. So that line of thought that Bo Nix going from the SEC to the Pac-12 is going to be a much better situation for him. Fair point. Fair point. I will concede that point. I will also concede the point that Auburn was a mess under Brian Harsin last season. And so maybe going to Eugene helps him out. And also, Kenny Dillingham, he used to coach Nix at Auburn before Dillingham went to Florida State. So maybe that reunion works out. Maybe. So there are some reasons to think that it can really work out well for Bo Nix. But, Bill Parcells says you are what you are, right? And in terms of knowing what Bo Nix is, like, is a leopard going to be able to change his spots significantly in 1 year? That is going to be the challenge for Bo Nix. And I don't think he's earned the benefit of the doubt. He's going to have to earn it in the course of the 2022 season before we elevate him to a higher status. So good points about moving from the SEC to the Pac-12. That could really work in his favor. Working with Kenny Dillingham could also benefit Bo Nix more than I might personally think. But still, he doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt right now. He has to earn that status. I think everyone should be able to agree on that point.
I take it from our conversation a couple of days ago, we had Eric Scopel from Duck Territory 247 Sports on. He is awaiting the formula to kick in with all the transfers and to have those total team talent rankings reassessed, that USC may jump ahead of Oregon. But until that happens, he was making the statement that he still believes that Oregon has the best roster in the Pac-12.
And of course, Oregon has a much better defense than USC does. Like, you're not going to get any arguments or rebuttals from me on that point. But what do we know about modern football? It's a quarterback's game. It's a pass first game. You have to have somebody really good at that position if you want to achieve at an elite level. If you and I, Mark, were sitting here in 1985, it would be a different discussion. It would be about how tough you are. It would be how strong you are in the trenches, exactly the kind of thing which would work against USC in a comparison. If we were talking 1985 style of offense, our awareness of offensive concepts back in the 80s, before you had Spurrier at Florida and before you had Rich Rod at West Virginia in the early 2000s, revolutionizing the game, before you had Hal Mummy, before you had Mike Leach, in a 1985 context, of course, Oregon would be a much, much, much better team than USC, given the larger way college football was played generally. But in 2022, you got to sling it. You have to sling it around the ballpark. You have to be able to strike quickly. You have to be able to spread people out. You have to be able to score 30 points a game. Like, that in many ways reflects the difference in styles in college football over time. Is that 30 points a game is you're achieving basic functionality. Like, if you're scoring 45, you're really hitting the mark. But 30, like, that's a baseline expectation.